Madam Chair, we're live.
Thank you so much. I'd like to call the meeting to order. This is the regular meeting of the Baldwin Park Planning Commission. The date is June 26, 2024, and the time is 7:03 p.m. Commissioner Gonzalez, could you please lead us in the flag salute?
Please stand. Put your right hand over your heart.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
You may be seated.
Thank you. Planning Secretary, can I please get roll? Here.
Present. Here. Here.
Present.
Secretary, is your mic on?
Yeah, I couldn't hear you.
Let's try that.
There you go.
Okay.
There we go.
That works.
Thank you. Thank you. I will now declare oral communications open. Anyone wishing to address the commission on anything other than the listed agenda items may come to the podium. I do the same thing. All right. Seeing no interest. Seeing no interest, I will now move on to the lone item on the consent calendar. That would be the minute meetings from the previous planning commission meeting. Would any commissioner like to pull any items up for discussion? Right. If we're not going to pull any items, do I have a motion to approve the minutes for June 12th, 2024?
I'll make the motion.
I'll second it.
Thank you. Can I get roll, please? Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Thank you. I will now introduce the first case on the agenda, which is a request for approval on a tentative parcel map to subdivide one 24,113 square foot parcel into 4 parcels within the residential 1 single family residential zone pursuant to table 153 in the city's municipal code and for architectural design review for the 4 new primary dwellings at address 4837 Bleecker Street. Can I please get a report from staff?
This evening, Associate Planner Chief Press will give the presentation.
Good evening, Honorable Chair and members of the Planning Commission. Next slide, please. Before you tonight is a request for consideration for a tentative parcel map, TPM 84384, to subdivide one lot into 4 for the development of 4 two-story single-family dwellings with an attached garage, a junior ADU, and detached ADU on each new lot pursuant to section 153040 of the municipal code. Next slide, please. The subject property is located at 4837 Bleecker Street. The parcel is currently developed with 2 detached single-family homes that will be demolished as a part of this development. Next slide, please. The subject property is in the single-family residential or the R1 zone of the city, which is consistent with the property's general plan land use designation of single-family residential. The property is comprised of 1 parcel with a lot area of approximately 24,113 square feet. And the lot is The lot's shape is rectangular in shape and is generally flat. Slide, please. The proposed project requires the approval of a tentative parcel map and a development plan design review to allow the proposed building architecture and site layout. The site plan layout shown on the current slide consists of 4 individual single-family lots that will be developed with 1 2-story single-family dwelling, a junior ADU, a detached ADU on each lot. The ADUs shown on these parcels are mentioned for reference only and will be processed under a separate permit subsequent to the approval of the project, as they are not subject to discretionary review at this public hearing. Next slide, please. The applicant is proposing similar mirrored floor plans for each of the single-family dwellings, each containing an attached front-facing 2-car garage, kitchen, living room, and powder room on the first floor. Next slide, please. And 3 bedrooms, a bathroom, and a primary suite on the second floor. Next slide, please. The proposed project is a traditional architectural design. Architectural features include exposed clay pipes, sand finished stucco walls, window surrounds, and dark brown vinyl windows of varying shapes. The details pertaining to the windows and surrounds would benefit from further refinement, which is why staff is recommending a condition of approval be added that requires the applicant to further work with planning staff to improve the design of the windows themselves. But the combination of materials and architectural variations reduces the size and the massing of the proposed structures. Next slide, please. The project is also proposing junior ADUs and ADUs that are similar in layouts. The JADUs will maintain a studio layout with a bathroom and kitchenette, and the ADUs will maintain a kitchen, bathroom, and 2 bedrooms. Next slide, please. Here we have a rendering of the proposed detached ADUs, which will also match the traditional architecture of the proposed primary dwellings. Next slide, please. Regarding CEQA public noticing requirements, a notice was published in the local newspaper on April 11th, 2024, and again on May 30th, 2024. On those same dates, notices were also mailed to the surrounding property owners and occupants within a 300-foot distance of the project site. And to date, staff has not received any letters or phone calls of concern regarding this application. This project was also found categorically exempt from further CEQA review, as it falls under section 15158.3, streamlining for infill projects. And a notice of exemption was filed with the Los Angeles County Clerk's office on November 29th, 2022. Next slide, please. Staff recommends that the Planning Commission approve Resolution PC 24-06, approving TPM 84384 and PR 22-58. The applicant is present for any questions, and I believe their CEQA consultant is also on the Zoom meeting for any questions as well. But this concludes staff's presentation. Thank you.
Thank you for that presentation. Are there any questions to staff by commission?
So just a couple questions to staff. Taking a look at the staff report, I noticed that under we just go to page 3 under the housing element goals. So obviously I'm very familiar with the housing element as well as just the general plan consistency. But I did notice for goal H2.0, it again just the assistance in developing for of housing affordable to low and moderate income households. Can you just kind of just define that for me, but also how that just ties into how that goal is in the staff report?
I can explain this a little bit more, but maybe the applicant can also explain on how he intends on utilizing the units. But yes, based on the models of the homes, they're going to be, in my guessing more moderate income homes, if I'm not mistaken. I mean, I think the applicant can a little bit
Sure.
further.
Hi, good evening.
I think there's a button, yeah.
Good evening. My name is Guadalupe Burgos. What was the question?
So, I guess my question, right, to staff was basically asking, how this project specifically fit for kind of just development of housing, affordable to low and moderate income households. But I know that, I guess that's when they brought you in. So,
Well, as far as the prices of the market, I'm trying to keep those units. I really don't want to put them on the market as for sale.
sure.
I do have a family that want to move into there. So
Sorry, I didn't mean to go out of order and
Well, that's all right. I think I'll add a little bit more.
Sure.
I believe these are not designated as affordable units.
I
So,
figured, yes.
Well, they'll be rented at market rate, we assume.
Thank you. Yeah.
However, not for your there was shown on the plans that ADUs and JADUs are going to be that is part of the concept for this development. And those smaller units could, as you can imagine, they're a lot smaller, and the smaller size, you can imagine they're going to rent for less, so they might be naturally affordable. Not affordable by covenant, but just by their nature, they're going to be more affordable to our community members.
Yeah, great. Thanks for clarifying that. I mean, I think just the way that I had kind of interpreted the goal here is that it implied perhaps that it was for affordable housing, but I know that that's something that we at least in the commission, we don't really sort of exercise or can mandate. And of course, we wouldn't want to go in that direction. But now I understand, at least especially for folks listening, is that again, this definition is mainly meant for, again, because it's a smaller unit, especially the junior ADU. Clearly, it's would be less expensive than your typical single family home, but of course it would be at market, perhaps market value for what this zip code is intended for. Great, thank you.
So,
Uh,
all right, I just want to check back in with the commission to see if they have any questions to staff around this project.
Yes. Just being very familiar with this neighborhood, there's a lot of traffic density and there's really no parking. I grew up several blocks away, but I'm very familiar with it. Adding 4 units on this small street will definitely impact the neighborhood as far as parking in that area. How do they plan to address that?
So the applicant is meeting the minimum parking requirements for a single family home, which would be the 2-car garage. State law does impose that cities cannot require further parking for the ADUs or the junior ADUs. So he's meeting the minimum required for the primary homes.
But there will definitely be an impact.
Regarding street parking?
Yes.
I
I'll
think
add-
what I'm hearing from the staff, and correct me if I'm wrong, is that any project of this type is going to impact traffic to some extent, but the applicant is, and again, correct me if I'm wrong, the applicant is meeting the minimum requirement as far as how many parking spots he's providing.
Correct, yes.
Okay.
I think I'll add one other piece there is that there is going to be a driveway in front of the garage, which could accommodate 2 additional off-street parking spaces. So I would look at it in that way, considering that is 2 additional off-street parking spaces that is not required to have. So that could be some relief, but this project is, we did ask for everything we're allowed to ask for, which is the minimum requirements.
Okay. And my second question, and it's related to development impact fees. And are they going to be assessed per parcel or is it as the overall project?
Some of the fees are assessed for the overall project, but parkland fees, so Quimby, that's for each individual parcel that's going to come out of the subdivision. So
Uh-huh.
it's a little bit of both. So it's for the overall development and each parcel.
And how about flood control?
That one is an overall fee for the
Overall. Could you
development.
explain that one a little bit more to me?
That one I believe is generated by the total square footage proposed for the project. We can only charge development impact fees for the primary homes, not for the ADUs at the moment.
Okay, and traffic control or traffic impact?
Traffic, I believe it's per unit. So for that one, we just total the 4 units.
And what does
Per unit.
that fee, what does it entail or what is it used for?
I'm not sure.
What's, there's a fee or the traffic impact, there's a cost, what does that help offset or what fund does it put into? How does it?
I'm not sure if there's a special earmarked fund for that, but it may go into the general fund and help fund our public works department and our general upkeep of streets.
Okay.
I did have one clarifying question. For a project like this, how many parking spots are minimally required?
It is based on bedroom count. So 4 bedrooms or less for a single family home. Minimum is a 2-car garage. Once they hit 5 bedrooms or more, it turns into a 3-car garage.
Thank you.
And then just to clarify on the parcel map for number 84,384, I think it's the third one. I know we talked about the driveway that they, for like additional parking, they could possibly utilize that. I just wanted to clarify which one is the driveway?
So all of the units have front facing garages, so those would be off of Downing Avenue. Parcel 4 does have 2 access ways, so one off of this is Downing and Masline. So that was the only parcel that has 2 accesses.
Okay. And they'd be able to park around the driveway, correct?
They can, yes.
Technically. Okay. Thank you.
And looking at Appendix N for the infill environmental checklist, can you just give me the definition? So I noticed most of them were marked as no impact, but again, there was a few of them that were marked as substantially mitigated by uniformly applicable development policies. Can you just give me the definition of that?
For that, I'm actually going to refer to the CEQA consultant. John, you heard that question?
Yes, good evening. Can you hear me? I'm John Anderson from
Yes.
Impact Sciences. Thank you so much for allowing me to be here and address the question. To address the question specifically, all of the impact mitigation measures that are applied to both your housing element and your general plan will be applied to this project. So that is where substantial mitigation comes from, and we just tier from that in this document. One example I would give you, I think, is relevant to some of the previous questions that have been asked regarding traffic and parking. Traffic and parking in this sense are no longer part of the CEQA analysis. However, these units are within a half mile of a major transit stop, Foothill Transit Route 492, and therefore having an automobile is not necessarily helpful especially for an affordable unit like the ADUs and the GADUs. And so that would help people be within walking or biking distance or taking a shuttle to the transit stop, which would help mitigate not in the CEQA sense, but in the general sense of the word mitigate, owning a vehicle to be in this area. So many of the benefits of having this site within half mile of the transit stop is something that the state encourages to reduce greenhouse gas emissions from car travel, frankly. And so this is considered to be a mitigation in and of itself. And then complying with things like the design elements that the planner has previously mentioned and that is going to be continued to be worked on with the applicant. Those are the sorts of things that make this project compatible with the area environmentally, and it makes them a benefit to the city from the perspective of meeting your RENA numbers and your housing availability for your residents. So in terms of mitigation, it tiers from all the mitigation measures that are required for every development project in a residential area in your city. And then in addition, there are some other issues like traffic and transportation, VMT, which is the vehicle miles traveled, that are minimized and mitigated by the proximity to the transit stop. I hope that was legible or understandable, and I'm happy to answer any further questions.
Yes, thank you for that explanation. Don't have any additional questions.
I just have an additional question. The ADUs and then the junior ADUs and then the housing units, they're meant to be sold separately, or can they be sold like as a whole unit?
They have to be sold with the entire parcel. They can't be sold separately from the primary home.
Okay, thank you.
All right, if there are no further questions,
I had a comment.
go ahead.
Madam Chair, if I just wanted to piggyback on what Mr. Commissioner Rodriguez was saying in regards to the impact to parking. It will make an impact on parking. Unfortunately, like Shepard said, the state has mandated that we overlook that part. Even though we know, realistically speaking, a 4-bedroom house is going to bring you more than 2 cars, but they have the accommodated 2-car garage that will accommodate for that. But now having a junior ADU and an ADU, we know that there's definitely going to be more vehicles than just 2. And realistically speaking, you could count a total of 4 for each unit times 4. That's how many will be out on the street. But unfortunately, there's nothing we can do in our power. Back in 2016, I think we had an amendment to the ordinance where they had to have a parking unit for each ADU. Unfortunately, the state with SB 9 and SB 6, if I'm not mistaken, was taken out. Just for the record.
So I have more of a comment than a question. But I think it's also important to remember that there are levels of approval to this project and we're not the final. And so our role here is to determine whether the project is presented to us within the legal parameters. So again, we're being told he does meet the minimum parking requirements.
Yeah, and I'll just add on that, again, that's just additional housing for the city of Baldwin Park, which I'm sure it's very desperately needed. So again, I see it as kind of just sort of the lesser of 2 evils. So we either have just density or folks needing to go out of the city, unfortunately.
Yeah, I believe the RENA gave Baldwin Park, what was it, 2,000 units to be built by 2028, if I'm not mistaken. So this is just part of it.
Thank you for that discussion. If there are no further questions to staff, I can now open up public hearing. And this will be the opportunity for anyone in the audience to testify for or against this matter, and that does include the applicant.
Oh, I got no questions.
Did you want to say anything on your behalf about this project?
Well, no, not really. Everything is said already. All the questions were asked. Yes, there would be an impact as far as parking. But most of the people that we have sold many of these units, or we kept some of them in different cities. The junior ADUs and the regular ADUs, there are people that don't even have a car, or don't even drive. They don't even have a license, to be honest with you. People nowadays, they don't even want to drive. They don't want to have a license. And that would be an answer for your question as far as an impact. everything that you make or do have an impact, yes. But as it is right now, there's no cars parked on the street as far as Downing and Bleecker. You were saying that you're familiar with the area. I'm familiar with the area as well. I
Yeah.
bought this property like 4 years ago, but there's no cars. That used to be a private road. So people got used to being a private road, so there's no parking. Now, me building these units, yeah, definitely is gonna be an impact. So I really don't know how many cars to be attacked, but that's the only explanation I have. That was the concern that you guys have as far as the parking, but we're trying to meet whatever the state regulations are.
And Mr. Burgos, your intention for these units, were they to lease them or sell them? I know we kind of got caught off
Well-
when I was asking my original question.
We have another project in the city.
Mhm.
That we are building 18 units
Mhm.
as we speak. And then here, we're building 12, including the juniors and the ADUs. We're trying to keep them as far as for myself and for my family. So not planning on selling them. As far as renting them, yes.
Yeah.
That would be a potential for us.
Right, thank you.
I have one question to staff. When it comes to satisfying our needs for RENA in regards to the units, does each unit as far as one ADU, one JADU, and the single family home count as 3? Yes.
Yes, they do.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
All right. I am going to now declare public hearing closed. Can I get a motion for this project?
I'll motion to approve.
And I'll second.
Thank you. Can I please get roll call?
Chair Scarbosa,
Yes.
Vice Chair Peña,
Yes.
Commissioner Maciel,
Yes.
Commissioner Rodriguez,
Yes.
Commissioner Gonzalez.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you. The Planning Commission has voted to
Thank you.
find the proposed project is exempt from environmental review under the California Environmental Quality Act and the state CEQA guidelines. Specifically, the project is categorically exempt from CEQA under guideline section 15158.3. We have also voted to adopt the following titled resolution, a resolution of the Planning Commission of the City of Baldwin Park approving a tentative parcel map to subdivide 24,113 square foot parcel into 4 parcels within the residential 1 single family residential zone pursuant to table 153 in the city's municipal code and for architectural design review for 4 new primary dwellings at 4837 Bleecker Street. Congratulations and thank you so much for being here tonight. Do we have any non-public hearing items? Any reports of officers?
I just mentioned that we do not have an item tracking for next month. So unless that changes, we'll be dark.
We're going on vacation.
We're becoming dormant.
All right. If there are no further comments by the commission, I will now accept a
But
motion.
I
for-
have one, sorry. I have one comment, just out of curiosity. When it comes to the parcels being divided into 4, property tax, how does that work out? Is it for each parcel now?
I believe so, but city wouldn't assess those numbers. I believe it's the LA County assessor
County.
that would,
But it's still more property
I-
tax for us, right? For the city.
I- believe so.
Yeah, that would make sense to me. I mean, then
Right?
now you have, instead of 1 parcel, now you have 4.
And you got 4.
They all meet the minimum. They're just like the other parcels in the neighborhood, right? So
Perfect. Okay.
likely to increase.
Thank you. No further questions.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
I'll second it.
Can I please get a roll call?
Chair Scarbosa,
Yes.
Vice Chair Peña,
Yes.
Commissioner Maciel,
Yes.
Commissioner Rodriguez,
Yes.
Commissioner Gonzalez.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you so much. We are now adjourned at 7:32 PM.